Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and that point that you made about congratulating them for setting up the early system, that was in my district, and I'd like to, before I begin, to also thank the cities of Long Beach, the city of Los Angeles, the University of California at Berkeley, Caltech, and the USGS in testing this prototype earthquake early warning system, which you have identified as Shake Alert. Long Beach and Los Angeles are going to be beta sites for testing the system and providing feedback so that we're able to refine the software and the communication systems of Shake Alert. I'm happy to see the cities take a lead, and I hope we gain valuable information for when we are able to deploy this system. And at this point, before I ask questions, I would like to enter into the record, Mr. Chair, a letter from the mayor of Los Angeles, Eric Garcetti, regarding the earthquake early warning system.
Seeing no objections, ordered.
Thank you. Dr. Lath, at our last earthquake hearing in March, you testified that USGS has spent about $10 million over the past decade to develop earthquake early warning systems. What have we achieved with that money, and how does that compare to investments in other types of earthquake programs that are funded by USGS, and how does it compare to what other countries, if you can answer that question also, are expending on early warning systems?
Yes, as I mentioned, for the development of the test system that's in operation now, we've spent about $10 million, and the Moore Foundation has spent an additional $6 million. That's allowed the test system to go through almost all of the research for an onshore system, and we're ready to put that system into public operation, but it needs an expansion. For example, additional seismic stations in the areas of southern Oregon that would better service the Portland, Seattle, and San Francisco areas, hardening of communications, and so on.
How does this compare to what USGS is spending on other earthquake programs?
We spend the U.S. operates a national seismic network, global seismographic network, and regional seismic networks, which is a major part of our spending. About 45% of the federal funds that we expend is to monitor earthquakes now. Our other major flagship project is the National Seismic Hazard Maps. These maps are the basis for building codes. In the United States, there's about $1 trillion in new construction every year, and the seismic provisions of building codes guide that construction so that it is less vulnerable to earthquakes. We spend on the order of about $10 million a year on hazard assessment work that feeds the national building codes, and the other part of our program is research, which feeds that also.
I'm not sure if this question, the last part, either goes to you, Dr. Lath, or to Dr. Allen. What are other countries spending? We've mentioned some of these other countries. Do we have any understanding about just how much these systems are costing other places?
I know that following the Kobe earthquake in Japan, which is when Japan decided to move forward with an early warning system, I believe they spent about $600 million to deploy the seismic network and do the necessary development that led to them having a public warning system which started operation in 2007. Right now, China is also putting a lot of effort into developing earthquake early warning following the large number of fatalities in the Wenchuan earthquake. I don't know how much they're spending in that particular case.
Yeah, pardon? The question I'm wondering is, you mentioned 600 million in Japan. We're not talking about anything like that on the West Coast. And what are they getting that we're not getting?
So I think that an important thing to recognize is that already the federal government is investing heavily in very high quality seismic networks.
Oh, the ANSS?
Meaning the ANSS, exactly. And so the West Coast already has significant seismic instrumentation in place, and the proposal in the USGS implementation plan for early warning is building on top of that capability. So while the total cost of building it and operating it for 5 years is $120 million, that's in addition to the current spending, and that's building on the investment that's already been made.
Can you explain to us on the committee just exactly what we have in place in the ANSS? So, because what you're saying is that that system will be expanded, or this will be part I believe, of that system.
Sure, I can speak to California, and perhaps some of my colleagues can speak to the rest. In California, right now, there are almost 3,000 seismic stations that are operating. There are various generations and various technologies. The instruments that we can actually use in the early warning system is about 400 of those seismic stations. And so the demonstration system that we run today, that is statewide in California, uses 400 seismic stations.
Dr. Lath?
So the Advanced National Seismic System development over the last 15 years has been based on a plan which was requested by Congress and delivered in 1999. It calls nationwide for the for the development of a network of 7,100 seismic stations, and their real-time communications and 24/7 operations, both at the National Earthquake Information Center and at regional centers. We're about 38% complete in the implementation of that program, and right now USGS supports the operation nationally of about a little more than 2,700 modern seismic stations that would be capable of supporting an earthquake early warning system. About 38% complete.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I yield back.